Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar. So with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. I did do a ton of updates this year to the Patreon where we were addressing significant levels for Hbar to actually break out. One of the big levels, and this was actually just recently as we were starting to kind of break above significant key areas of interest, specifically around like roughly the 6.5 cent zone, we were targeting the yearly high. Now, as we see the market has been jumping around today. Again, volatility is going to increase as we do get further and further into this next bull run. Remember, Bitcoin halving 115 days away, the new year, it's closing in. The new year is almost here. So as we do anticipate a lot of things happening around ETFs, around regulations, things like that, well, the market is going to erupt even more. And as we look at the 24-hour gainers, yes, Hbar is included in this, up about 8.33% on the 24-hour span. On the 7-day span, up about almost 12%. But that's not only it. If we go back to the 1-year span, we are up about 34%. On the 1 year, we are up over 106% on Hbar. I know that this might not seem like a big move, but it really is. I mean, 100% gain in a 1-year time frame is nothing to, write off and say, oh, that's nothing. It's still pretty significant. But for those out there saying, oh, but all these other coins are doing this, doing that, don't worry. Because like I said, we are getting close to that big moment where Hbar finally breaks over the significant level. Now, I've outlined this multiple times, and we've seen another individual actually from the space, 360 Trader, who has been around the space for a while. Even they are seeing it as well. Hbar looking for that bear market breakout. We are on this train. I said, this is the number one thing I have been waiting for. If you have watched any of my recent Hbar videos on the channel, then you know how important this level is. Once broken, we could easily see Hbar climb to 15 to 20 cents in the short term. As we look at Hbar, that significant level is just breaking over the previous highs from earlier this year. Once broken, then yes, I am looking at the significant levels on the monthly. The first initial level that I'm looking at is flipping the 2021 lows from the summertime into support yet again. That level is at about roughly 13.5 cents. The next level here is about 15 cents. And then after that, we are looking more so at the 18, almost 20 cent region. That's why I say 15 to 20 cents is my initial targets on the short-term move. But nonetheless, if we are talking about the percentage gain, even if we are talking about the support zone that you had enough time to buy at, and I'm not talking about the lowest points here. No, I'm just talking about the many levels of support that we actually had the opportunity to buy at, which was right around like roughly 4.75 cents. If we are talking about that, then at 15 cents, just 15 cents, you're up about 200%. If we're talking about 20 cents, then you will be up 324%. Now that is just to flip some levels, and this is just on the bear market breakout. We're not even talking about going back to the all-time highs for Hbar, then going into price discovery. It is going to be a very interesting year as we do march into 2024, because a lot of altcoins, especially the largest holders in my portfolio, are looking like this, where we see them having this nice little high run, right, from initially in the beginning of the year, and then they do this, right? Just trailing sideways, and then they start to build up. And that's what we're actually starting to see here on Hbar, is a build up. And now what we just look for is either one, us breaking over significant levels of resistance, or possibly back testing support, which if I were to look at Hbar and say what level we should be holding on the back test, it would be roughly holding the resistance zone going all the way back to the summer of 2022, which would be right around like roughly 8 cents. I would like to see 8 cents held on Hbar. But again, as we do look at things happening around the space, I do believe that Hedera is getting a lot of attention. Listen, it would be crazy to overlook the fact that Hedera has been absolutely killing it this year. And even HBAR, technically speaking, if we're talking about the yearly lows to where we are at now, it is up 100 and almost 6%. That isn't anything to just say, oh, that's nothing, because it is still significant. But beyond that, let's look into a few things. So one of the biggest things that we do see in this space is comparisons. We've seen Solana being compared to Hedera, ADA being compared to Hedera, Dogecoin even being compared to Hedera. And it's simply because we're trying to look into the potential here for what HBAR could do in the next run. Why am I bringing this up? Well, because I've been seeing and I've been noticing a lot of posts regarding things happening around this space with transaction speeds, things like that. Big shout out to Zepsi. We do see market just warming up and Solana transactions are fluctuating and failing. Cardano, 10 to 15 minutes for a simple transaction to appear on chain, and even Avalanche and Ethereum transaction fees are rocketing. Meanwhile, Hedera minting 1 million plus NFTs in 60 hours. Also, averaging 3,000 plus TPS with zero fee fluctuation and finality in 3 seconds. This is very significant to mention, comparing it to the rest of the market. But is this all that matters? No, we're actually going to be talking about that here in a second. But I also do want to address the Avalanche stuff. So we have been noticing with the demand, Avalanche fees have been skyrocketing. And for those that don't know, Avalanche is still one of the largest players in the space, boasting about $15.6 billion in market cap. This was also one of the largest runners back in 2021, doing a tremendous gain in the market. And even today, it is still looked at as one of the largest players. But the problem here is that Avalanche fees are practically the same as Ethereum, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Now, this individual, Kazan, was saying that Solana is just the superior chain, and I would argue that Hedera is actually a lot more superior. There's a lot of great chains outside of Ethereum, Avalanche, and things like that. The only problem is that a lot of people look at Ethereum, Avalanche, and Solana simply because of how large the communities are on these platforms. That's the only reason why they are so popular. But there will be a moment where we start to see the network dying in terms of activity. Now, is that going to happen anytime soon? We don't know. But I do believe that individuals are going to get fed up with paying the absurd fees, transactions failing, settlement times being far too long. I think that we are going to see that problem arise. And then from there, what we will see is what we've already been noticing, the great migration. But here we have from SaucerSwap, and we do see, as the market activity increases, it's evident that gas fees linked to network usage can turn away users. With network fees fixed in USD and unaffected by usage levels, Hedera stands apart. Frustrated with Avalanche fees? Say hello to SaucerSwap. By harnessing the power of the Hedera network, we inherit unparalleled accessibility with consistently low gas fees regardless of network traffic. And listen, although, yes, this is a big issue, the problem here is that I think far too many people look at the transaction fees and transaction speeds and scalability as the only thing that really matters in this space. But what if I told you the only reason why we actually see a lot of the apps on Ethereum, Avalanche, and even Solana having a ton of hype around them and having a ton of demand is simply because of one thing and one thing only? Can you guess what that is? Well, we talked about it briefly. It is, drumroll please, the UI. It's as simple as user interface. We see over here from Alt Anonymous, I seen it. I thought it was an incredible post. We do see him actually quoting Lark Davis, because we do see to do a swap on Uniswap right now on Ethereum, it costs $32. To do a swap on Juniper on Solana, it costs roughly a half a cent, or a fraction of a cent, sorry. I wonder where retail traders are going to flock to. And honestly, I'm just going to be honest. I don't think that transaction fees are going to divert as much attention away from things as people realize. Because go back to 2021, people were still paying absurd fees for NFT transfers. But we do see people still think cheaper transactions is going to bring in the masses. It most definitely will not. The average person won't show up until blockchain is invisible and the UI or UX feels like Web 2 to them. And one of the biggest things that I have said is that the user interface is so damn important. Mind you, yes, mixing an incredible user interface with low transaction fees and also faster transactions, that's the perfect recipe. And Hedera has that. I've addressed this already. But just to bring it back up, I said 100%, this is very important to understand. This is why Hedera keeps winning. Between applications like Galaxy App and Bank Social, we are witnessing this exact thing happening. It's the number one reason why I say HBAR will win, because Hedera is 10 steps ahead of the rest, and so are the ecosystem players. And yes, it's crucial to note the fact that Galaxy, Bank Social, and all of the other great platforms that are building out on Hedera, they are building with quality in mind. They are also building with Web 2 in mind. They're not trying to, change the way that these applications are looking and feeling. Web 3 is not a look, it's not a feel. It's an innovation of the actual foundational layer. The problem is our foundation within the Web 2 space is extremely inefficient. We don't need to change anything from the look. We're not trying to appeal to, some sort of standard on looks and the feeling of the application. All we have to do is mimic Web 2, but have Web 3 be the underlying infrastructure. That's why, as we look at user interface, it is so crucial. And I've mentioned this even with Telcoin, actually, with what Telcoin's doing. I always look at the application and I say, can I hand this to anyone that I know outside of crypto, and will they be able to utilize it? If I come up to the conclusion of, I think that I would have to teach them a few things, I don't think that's going to succeed. And see, this is the reason why I say Galaxy is doing incredible things. Because Galaxy looks and feels like a Web 2 app, but it has crypto, NFTs. It has even texting of crypto and NFTs within its own wallet. That's possible on Galaxy. This is why I say that the Hedera ecosystem is completely different than anything else that we have in the space. Because those that are building on Hedera, they realize and they understand what needs to happen. They're not trying to change the status quo. They're not trying to, create the next X. They're not trying to create the next Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. They're trying to converge these two worlds. And could we see the next X or the next Facebook or the next Instagram create it through that? Like Galaxy, for example? Yeah, that could happen. But the Galaxy's not trying to be the next X or Instagram or Facebook. They are a thing of its own. It's a social wallet for anyone and everyone. And this is a wallet that is not just a typical wallet. No, you have everything all in one. And again, the killer app around crypto, also being mentioned as social, not financial. What if I told you that you could actually mix social and financial together and get SocialFi, which is a big thing. But outside of SocialFi, you also have a ton of other things within this. You have your very own marketplaces. And of course, Solo did provide that same video that we just watched. But when you look at this and you realize how diverse this is, how game-changing it is, then you realize why Hedera is succeeding. And again, this is possible because of Hedera. This is built out on Hedera. Even Bank Social is built out on Hedera. SaucerSwap is doing incredible things in terms of the DeFi space because, again, of what Hedera enables. These things could not be built out on Ethereum. And that's not me throwing shade. That's just me being honest. I mean, imagine sending a $20, payment to somebody and you paying $25 in fees. Like, that should never be a thing. Like, why did that become the status quo in crypto? because I would much rather send a wire transfer that might take 48 hours to settle, but pay, a fraction of that fee. Because saving money and sacrificing the time to settle is something that almost everyone would do, especially those in areas that they need the money. They need to ensure that they are saving as much money as possible, and they are not going to sacrifice $25 fees just to utilize the most populated chains. That's why Hedera is a game changer. That is why Hedera is going to become a star player in the space. We're looking at these platforms like Ethereum that have $260 billion in market cap, or Solana that has $34 billion in market cap, or even Avalanche that has $15.5 billion in market cap. And then we look at Hedera at nearly a $3 billion market cap, and we could easily come to the conclusion that Hedera is extremely undervalued and it's extremely overlooked. But in a space that is filled with hype and speculation, that's going to be the case. But I do believe that very soon, individuals will come into this space, do a little bit of research, find applications like Galaxy, find applications like Bank Social, find applications like Satoshi Swap, for an example, or any other application built out on Hedera, and realize the power behind Hedera versus any other platform. And that is not me being biased. I could honestly care less if I was holding HBAR or not saying these things. But HBAR is one of my largest holdings because of me believing in what Hedera is doing and understanding what Hedera is doing, and also realizing the power and the potential behind something like Hedera that has everything all in one. And we're not just talking about fast transactions, low fees, scalable transactions. No, we're actually talking about the all-in-one package of having all of this and then also having quality applications building out on it that are offering the same Web 2 experiences that everyone is used to, with crypto powering the underlying layer. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Peace out.